Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Right.
I can do. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjala-shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantinkam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajadam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivan Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhairvacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will start Canto 3, Chapter 5. We will aim to cover the first 16 verses. So last class we revised chapters 1 to 4. We will skip the revision points and questions. You already probably revised everything and got answered. So Canto 3 is titled The Status Quo. This Unit 9 covers chapters 5 to 8. And Unit 9 is titled Creation Part 1. Chapter 5 is titled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya Muni. Chapter 5 is divided into 5 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 9. Vidura's questions to Maitreya Muni. Part 2, verses 10 to 16. Vidura's exclusive interest in Krsna Katha. Part 3, verses 17 to 21. Maitreya Muni honored Vidura and expressed gratitude. Part 4, verses 22 to 38. Maitreya Muni describes the process of creation. Part 5, verses 39 to 51. Elemental demigods offered prayers to the Lord. Everybody got the divisions?
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, sorry, I had a question, Prabhu, but this is regarding the previous chapter, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not exactly the previous chapter. It's like you had given that question, the first question, about the difference between Chatushloki Bhagavatam spoken to Lord Brahma and to Uddhava. Prabhu, I understood the reason why it's spoken to Uddhava is more, much more transcendental. It's different. But does that mean that Lord Brahma's devotion was mixed with knowledge and mysticism, Prabhu?
No, it's not a question of Brahma's devotion was mixed. It's just that Uddhava is more elevated.
So among devotees also there are levels of devotion, Prabhu. I thought if you're a pure devotee means you're a pure devotee. There's no second stage of it.
No, we have discussed multiple times. There are within pure devotees, there are various levels. So for example, pure devotees in the mood of awe and reverence, they will go to Vaikuntha planets. And pure devotees in the mood of love, they will go to Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah, that I understood, Prabhu. So that means Lord Brahma is in the mood of awe and reverence. The difference is that?
He would be in the mood of awe and reverence. Yes.
Okay, I got my answer, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Very good inquiry. Anybody else has any question? Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have a small clarification to for better understanding. The essence of 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita, 10.8, 9, 10, and 11, known as Chatusloka, whereas Lord Krishna says topmost knowledge and reveals his heart to Brahmaji so that he is perfectly educated. But in case of Vidura, there is that triggered Uddhava to say Mahayam. Can you little elaborate on that?
So I'm not sure what your question is. I lost a little the last part. If you can please clarify and repeat your question.
See, where only to Uddhava, Lord spoke the significance of Paramastidam. Describes his dealings with the devotees engaged in transcendental service. That triggered Uddhava to say Mahayam. That is what I'm speaking
That
about.
triggered Uddhava to say what?
M-A-H-A-O-A-M, Mahayam. Unto me.
No. That didn't trigger anything. It was Krishna. So if you go back to a couple chapters back, where one of the section was Uddhava's elevated state. So it was because of Uddhava's elevation on his devotional path is why Krishna spoke the Paramam Sthitim, the transcendental knowledge about Krishna's position to Uddhava. So if you go back to Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna, the chapter division has the Uddhava's exalted position. And then the later chapters, which is Canto 3, Chapter 4, Part 6 is Uddhava's special role after the disappearance of Lord. So Krishna chose Uddhava to preach to rest of the world this advanced knowledge because Uddhava himself was elevated. So that was the reason why Krishna chose Uddhava. Has nothing to do with Vidura. Does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji. One more thing I want to share with everybody. Most of you know this. When I was going through some of those things, for example, Srila Prabhupada, we say, Srila Maitreya Muni. So the meaning of Srila, what I have realized, the one who is invested with both beauty and the power to understand the Leela of Krishna, which I wanted to share. Why we call Srila. So this may be useful to all of us.
Where do you find this?
Somewhere in Google I found out.
Okay.
Why
So,
I was questioning why Srila.
So we have discussed not to use Google. This word Srila is described in Prabhupada's Lilamrita as to what is Srila. So the point that you explained is not wrong. And further is explained that when you have when you want to refer to someone with a loving relationship or a loving reciprocation, that's when you refer to the word Srila. So if you want to read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, it's described in there. So there's a discussion in Prabhupada's Lilamrita as to how Prabhupada got, like how devotees started calling Srila Prabhupada as Srila. So they were debating what to call Srila Prabhupada as. And there's a whole chapter on this discussion. And they ended up referring to Srila Prabhupada as Srila. And they did get Srila Prabhupada's acceptance also whether to call Srila Prabhupada as Srila. So read Prabhupada's Lilamrita on this point if you really want to know a little more on that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Actually, in Google, I didn't refer the other thing. ISKCON published this thing I was going through.
Yeah, so that's okay way of looking at it. So I understand Google does a very good job of, when you do a search, Google does a very good job of narrowing down your search. So as long as you look at authorized websites, which are, I mean, it is.
It was authorized. And
Yeah.
normally I look at some words which I do not understand. I want to equip myself. When you say Mausalya Leela, so I refer immediately what is Mausalya Leela when I am at leisure, so that I totally understand whatever you say. That is the purpose.
So it is little difficult or little challenging to know which website is authentic and not. So the best thing to do is to refer to scripture. Scriptures have all the answers that you're looking for.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, anybody else has any questions?
You would like to mention something on Bhagavad Tattva Jnana, the specific knowledge of personality of Godhead.
Bhagavad, I didn't know, where are you referring that from?
In 3.4, 31 to 36, Uddhava was considered as the only one among devotees by his pure devotional service. Realized devotee of, he is a devotee of realized devotee by Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, the specific knowledge of personality of God's yet transcendental position. People to take advantage or benefited of Uddhava's knowledge after Lord's disappearance. He was directly advised to go to Vidura. That is where I read, Prabhuji.
State your verse number again, please.
3.4, 31 to 36, when I was preparing why Uddhava was advised to go to Vidura. At that time, I went through, so I wanted to know about this one, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana.
So Bhagavad Tattva Vigyan, Vigyan means knowledge and Bhagavad means Bhagwan, and Tattva is referring to the level. So Bhagavad Tattva Vigyan refers to the Paramam Sthitim. Nothing different there is what the transcendental knowledge of Krishna's position is what is referring to.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we'll continue with Canto 3, Chapter 5. The very first verse, Prabhupada explains Achyuta Bhava Siddha, meaning perfection by the dint of devotional service. Shivangi, verse 1, translation and purport, please.
Hare Krishna, verse 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, Vidura, the best among the Kuru dynasty, who was perfect in devotional service to the Lord, thus reached the source of the celestial Ganges river, Haridwar, when Maitreya, the great fathomless learned sage of the world, was seated. Vidura, who was perfect in gentleness and satisfied in transcendence, inquired from him. Perfect. Vidura was already perfect due to his unalloyed devotion to the infallible Lord. The Lord and the living entities are qualitatively the same by nature, but the Lord is quantitatively much greater than any individual living entity. He is ever infallible, whereas the living entities are prone to fall under the illusory energy. Vidura had already surpassed the fallible nature of the living entity in conditional life due to his being Achyuta Bhava, or legitimately absorbed in the devotional service of the Lord. This stage of life is called Achyuta Bhava Siddha, or perfection by dint of devotional service. Anyone, therefore, who is absorbed in the devotional service of the Lord is a liberated soul and has all admirable qualities. The learned sage Maitreya was sitting in a solitary place on the bank of the Ganges at Haridwar, and Vidura, who was a perfect devotee of the Lord and possessed all good transcendental qualities, approached him for inquiry. Hare Krishna.
So, Achyuta Bhava Siddha, meaning perfection by the dint of devotional service. So, Vidura is already perfected, but Vidura still maintains humble position and inquires from Maitreya Muni because Maitreya Muni was directly instructed by the Lord. Vidura is already elevated on the spiritual path, but still taking a humble position and inquiring because the Lord directly instructed Maitreya Muni. Vidura has already achieved perfection. Vidura is already transcendental to the conditioned life because he is always in devotional service. Vidura is already liberated. Still, he wants to hear Krsna Katha. Verse number 2 is important. We'll read and understand why. Is our dear Aditi able to read verse number 2 translation? Canto 3, chapter 5, verse number 2.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements with the goddess Kali, his external energy.
Hold on, 3.5.2.
Sorry.
Vidura said, O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither
Satiation.
nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us directions on how one should live for real happiness.
So Uddhava sent Vidura to ask Maitreya Muni the pastimes of the Lord. But look at what Vidura is asking. Because Vidura is maintaining his humility, and Vidura asked common problems for common people. Vidura is asking common basic questions. Vidura does not pose himself as advanced. In the material world, any remedies are more miserable than the miseries themselves. People are in unlimited distress, trying with different remedies, but some other problem comes up from whatever remedy is brought about. Example, traffic. Traffic is increasing day by day, and they keep building more roads and bridges, but traffic keeps increasing, and still there is traffic jam. And not only traffic jam is increasing, but pollution is also increasing. Meaning the remedy to resolve traffic congestion is causing more trouble, and they don't know how to solve the problem. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's described that the actual remedy to get out of misery is to engage in devotional service and to surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord. So for this question, which Vidura asks here in 3.5.2, the answer is given in 3.8.2 by Maitreya Muni, that the best and only solution to get out of this misery is that let me start hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. The next verse, verse number 3, the purpose of devotees traveling all over the world is described. Shalini, verse number 3 translation.
Hare Krishna. O my Lord, great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So devotees do not travel for sightseeing. Rather, devotees travel to show compassion to the conditioned souls for relieving distress of conditioned souls. In purport, Srila Prabhupada says, no one has anything to do except devotional service of the Lord. But due to my past misdeeds, the soul is averse to obeying the Lord. Hence, any fruitive activity is actually rebellious activity against the Lord. Therefore, material nature will punish. Krishna is Rishikesh. Our senses do not belong to us. We do not have the right to use the senses for ourselves. Because Rishikesh is the master and senses are meant to serve Krishna Rishikesha. Just as Amrish Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, there are a few chapters. Amrish Maharaj is using all his senses in devotional service. And to understand from a material world example is that employee in the material world office is using office equipment such as cell phone, computer for browsing internet for his own self. Naturally, the owner or the master of the company will not like that. Similarly, Krishna is the master running this material world and we are all employees. Hence, we should use senses in devotional service. But Krishna is still merciful that Krishna still provides all facilities even to rebellious conditioned souls. Questions, comments, realizations? Radha Shakti, verse number 4 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Therefore, O great sage, please give me instruction on the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, so that he who is situated in the heart of everyone can be pleased to impart from within knowledge of the absolute truth in terms of the ancient Vedic principles, delivered only to those who are purified by the process of devotional service.
So Vidura is inquiring about devotional service, and important to understand that Vidura did not inquire about Gyan Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, although Gyanis are also transcendentalists, but devotees are higher. Materialistics are not transcendentalists at all. And only by Bhakti Yoga one can attain Krishna. Srila Prabhupada quotes 10.10 Bhagavad Gita that Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti, that Krishna personally gives guidance on how to reach Krishna. For Gyanis and Yogis, Krishna does not help much. But for devotees, Krishna gives direct instructions. The Gyanis and the Yogis may not have material desires, but they are still interested in some personal desire to merge with the effulgence. And the Yogis, they also get deviated because of the desire to attain siddhis. This is an eye-opening statement that from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, verse number 4. It's a very famous verse, Brahmaji is speaking. Brahmaji says, Jnani's path is troublesome. Jnani's only gain is trouble. Jnanis are beating empty husk. Hence, Jnani's only gain is trouble. For my next statement, I request all of you to quote Bhagavad Gita verses. Many of you should know all these verses now. So here's my statement, and you find and let me know what Bhagavad Gita verses apply. Gyan Yoga and Ashtang Yoga is very troublesome. What's the verse for this? Then, and these Gyan Yoga and Ashtang Yoga take a very long time to attain perfection. What's the verse for this? And devotional service is easier path compared to other yoga paths. What's the verse for this? Somebody?
Probably 18.5, am I right? By way.
18.5, which point are you referring to? Although that doesn't refer to any of these points. 18.5 refers to that Yagya Jnana Tapa should not be given up, if I'm recalling it correctly. Somebody else?
12.5, Prabhu.
12.5 is for which part?
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the supreme advancement is very troublesome. To progress
very good.
in that is always difficult for those who are embodied.
Okay, very good. Gyan Yoga is very troublesome. So correct reference 12.5. Okay, what's the reference for the other two statements? Okay, Gyan Yoga takes a long time to attain perfection. There's a direct verse. And devotional service is easier path. There's a direct verse.
12.6, Prabhu.
12.6, Krishna says that I become the swift deliverer of devotees. So 12.6 and 7 are combined verses. I mean, you can, it can refer to the devotional path is easier, but there's a more direct verse also. 12.67 is not a bad reference.
Prabhu, not is it 6.47, Prabhu? No.
There's a direct reference. So 8.14, Krishna says, for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to attain. So 8.14 is where he says it's Bhakti Yoga is very easy. Okay. And then in 7.19, Krishna says that after many lifetimes. So Gyan Yoga takes many lifetimes. Okay. So we'll read, Radha Shakti will continue to read the purport for verse number 4.
As already explained in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is realized in 3 different phases, although they are one and the same in terms of the knower's capacity to understand. The most capable transcendentalist is the pure devotee of the Lord, who is without any tinge of fruitive actions or philosophical speculation. By devotional service, only does one's heart become completely purified from all material coverings like karma, gyan, and yoga. Only in such a purified stage does the Lord, who is seated in everyone's heart with the individual soul, give instruction so that the devotee can reach the ultimate destination of going back home, back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satatam yukta nam bhajtam prit. Only when the Lord is satisfied with the devotional service of the devotee does he impart knowledge, as he did for Arjuna and Uddhava. The Gyanis, Yogis, and Karmis cannot expect this direct cooperation of the Lord. They are not able to satisfy the Lord by transcendental loving service, nor do they believe in such service to the Lord. The bhakti process, as performed under the regulative principles of Vedic bhakti or devotional service following the prescribed rules and regulations, is defined by the revealed scriptures and confirmed by great acharyas. This practice can help the neophyte devotee to rise to the stage of Raga Bhakti, in which the Lord responds from within as the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master as super consciousness. All transcendentalists, other than devotees, make no distinction between the individual soul and the super soul, because they miscalculate the super consciousness and the individual consciousness to be one and the same. Such miscalculation by the non devotees makes them unfit to receive any direction from within, and therefore they are bereft of the direct cooperation of the Lord. After many, many births, when such a non dualist comes to sense that the Lord is worshipable and that the devotee is simultaneously one and with and different from the Lord, then only can he surrender unto the Lord Vasudev. Pure devotional service begins from that point. The process of understanding the absolute truth adopted by the misguided non-dualist is very difficult, whereas the devotee's way of understanding the absolute truth comes directly from the Lord, who is pleased by devotional service. On behalf of many neophyte devotees, Vidura, at the very first instance, inquired from Maitreya about the path of devotional service by which the Lord, who is seated in within the heart, can be pleased.
Very good. Vidura inquired about devotional service. Questions, comments, realizations? Chandran Prabhu, verse number 5 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. O great sage, kindly narrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the independent, desireless Lord of the three worlds and the controller of all energies, accepts incarnations and creates the cosmic manifestation with perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance. Hare Krishna.
Lord of Threes, in the purport is described, Lord of Threes, which is Lord of three gunas, Lord of three worlds, and the three Purushas. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains Ajagalastana, meaning nipples on the neck of a goat. This has been discussed earlier when we were discussing Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 45. Ajagalastana means nipples on the neck of a goat. It is the logic of setting aside the Supreme Lord as the cause of all causes, or trying to milk the nipples on the neck of a goat, meaning considering material nature to be the cause of creation and maintenance, etc. Nipples on neck of a goat may seem like sources of milk, but to get milk from such nipples will be foolish. And further, Prabhupada explains that Lord does not create material world for his personal interest. Rather, material world is created for the conditioned soul's desires. And the point of scarcity in the material world is discussed in the purport. That material world is created for the illusory enjoyment of the conditioned souls. Material world are full in themselves. There is no scarcity for maintenance in the material world. But because of people's poor fund of knowledge, materialists are disturbed when there is apparent increase of population on earth. Whenever there is a living entity on earth, his subsistence is immediately arranged for by the Lord. The other species of living beings other than humans, they far outnumber the human society. But all these other species are never disturbed for maintenance. They are never seeing dying of starvation. It is only the human society that is disturbed about food starvation. And to cover up the real fact of administrative mismanagement, they take shelter in the plea that population is increasing. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, there is no scarcity. Rather, the only scarcity is the scarcity of Krishna Bhakti. Otherwise, by the grace of God, there is no scarcity of anything else. And I'll describe a practical situation. One time, politicians approached Srila Prabhupada to give money for starving people. Srila Prabhupada said to these politicians that first understand why people are suffering. People are suffering because of forgetfulness of the Lord. And therefore, we at ISKCON, we want to re-establish the duties to the Lord. We want to re-spiritualize the world. So we will do some kirtan and then serve prasadam. Srila Prabhupada said to these politicians, I am willing to serve, but understand that you need to rectify a few things. Otherwise, one will continue to suffer eternally. The politicians, they only wanted to take the money. They were not interested in kirtan or prasadam. And they left. Therefore, Prabhupada says, which is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saying, the only scarcity is Krishna Bhakti. We'll be on the same page. Questions, comments, realizations? Verse number 6 is straightforward. Mother Jija. Verse 6 is explaining how the Lord expands to many forms. Mother Jija, we cannot hear you. Mother Jija, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Okay, we'll skip Mother Jija to read. Uncle will read verse number 6 translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation, verse number 6. He lies down on his own heart, spread in the form of the sky. Sorry. And thus placing the whole creation in that space. He expands himself in many living entities, which are manifested as different species of life. He does not have to endeavor for his maintenance, because he is the master of all mystic powers and the proprietor of everything. Thus, he is distinct from the living entities. Hare Krishna.
Again, is straightforward. Verse number 7 to 16. as a comparison of why not to read Mahabharata and why to read Krsna Katha. This is also going to be one of the homework questions for you all in terms of the comparison between Mahabharata and Krsna Katha. Mother Chandra Aunty, if you want to read verse number 7 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You may narrate also about the species characteristic of the Lord in his different incarnations for the welfare of the twice born, the cows and the demigods. Our minds are never satisfied completely, although we continuously hear on his transcendental activities. Hare Krishna.
So Vidura is saying that hearing about Krishna, I am not at all bored. Hence, I want to hear more and more. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna gives importance to brahmanas, cows, demigods in various incarnations when he appears. Respecting demigods is important. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one must offer respects to demigods, spiritual masters, etc. So there is no need to worship demigods, but you should respect demigods. There's no need to disrespect demigods, because demigods are elevated devotees. Demigods can get the darshan of the Lord directly. Worship, that has to be only for Krishna, not for demigods. And because the demigods carry out the orders of the Lord, therefore some of the demigods like Shiva, Brahmaji, or even pure devotees like Srila Narad Muni, they are expressed as Lord. Why? Because they are carrying the orders of the Lord. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that reading newspaper is waste of time. News means new. Therefore, after reading newspaper, the newspaper is thrown away. And we have discussed this same point in a very well-known verse, which is 1.5.10, which refers to mundane literature of the material world as pilgrimage for crows. But Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, these scriptures never become old. The more you read these scriptures, you get newer and newer realizations, because Krishna is infinite, and by reading these scriptures, you are connecting with the infinite Lord, and he reveals newer and newer realizations every time you read these same scriptures. Therefore, Vidura is saying, I am never satiated from hearing the pastimes of the Lord. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. Mother Jija, you want to try now reading verse number 8? I'm not sure if we are able to hear you. Mother Jija, we still cannot hear you. I see you are unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Okay, we will skip Mother Jija. Sridhar Prabhu, verse number 8 translation.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme King of all kings has created different planets and places of habitation, where living entities are situated in terms of the modes of nature and work, and he has created their different kings and rulers. Hare Krishna.
It's straightforward. Vidura is asking about different planets, that how different planets are created. Scientists of the material world think that only Earth has life. Scientists say that other planets are empty, but Srimad Bhagavatam clearly says all planets are filled with living entities. And at times, living entities on other planets are actually more intelligent. Okay. Kalyani is she able to read verse number 9 translation?
She isn't there in the class today, Prabhu. Can I go ahead on her behalf?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
O chief amongst the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayana, the creator of the universe and the self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures. Hare Krishna.
Is again straightforward. In the previous verse, Vidura inquired how different planets are creating, and here Vidura is inquiring how the Lord created universe and the different living creatures. Srila Prabhupada explains, one gets body according to his nature, according to his desires and inclinations. But foolish people cannot understand. And this point is actually explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse number 8. Says that air carries the aroma of the flower garden from where the air is blowing. Similarly, soul carries different conceptions of life from one body to another. Verse number 10 onwards is part 2. So part 2 is verses 10 to 16. Title is Vidura's exclusive interest in Krsna Katha. These verses explain the glory of Krsna Katha. Shivangi, verse number 10 translation.
O my Lord, I have repeatedly heard about these higher and lower statuses of human society from the mouth of Vyasadeva, and I am quite satiated with all these lesser subject matters and their happiness. They have not satisfied me with the nectar of topics about Krishna.
So just as after honoring prasadam, when you say you are satisfied, you don't want any more, means you are full and you don't want any more prasadam. That's when you use the word satisfied. Similarly, Vidura is saying, I have heard the lesser important subject matter of Mahabharata from Srila Vyasadeva, and I am completely satisfied. And satisfied means I don't want to hear more of Mahabharata. Mahabharata was compiled with a view to revive God consciousness of common people who are interested in hearing social and historical presentations. But for devotees, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, scriptures are more important. Bhagavad Gita is Krsna Katha because is spoken directly by the Lord. And Srimad Bhagavatam is Krsna Katha because is about the Lord. Everybody with me?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Shalini, verse number 11 translation.
Hare Krishna, text 11. Who in human society can be satisfied without hearing sufficient talk of the Lord, whose lotus feet are the sum total of all places of pilgrimage, and who is worshipped by great sages and devotees? Such topics can cut off one's bondage to family affection simply by entering the holes of one's ears.
No one will be satiated even after hearing Krishna Katha for a long time. These enter through ears, and such Krishna Katha topics, the attraction to material life is finished. The glory of hearing Krishna Katha from different parts of Srimad Bhagavatam is that there are many more verses on these. I will only quote few, unless somebody wants to quote some verses which talks about hearing Krishna Katha is important. Anybody remembers any verses? Even if you don't know the number, if you know the essence. Anybody? Anybody knows any verses on the glory of hearing Krishna Katha from Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any place?
Just remembered one shloka, Prabhu, whether that would be I think it's in the first canto, second chapter, Prabhu, and the one that is Shunvutam Swa Katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastosi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhrutsatam. So when we hear the pastime, or when we hear the pastimes of the Lord, our heart gets purified. This is what I could recollect, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very good. Correct reference is 1.2.17. Is definitely a very nice recitation and remembrance, both Sanskrit and the essence of the translation. Yes, correct reference. Anybody else? There are many references. I will only quote few here. So 1.2.16 to 22, actually all verses can be referenced. 1.2.16 is also a very famous verse. Shushuno Shraddhanasya. It starts with that when you serve the pure devotees, you get the taste, or you develop the taste to hear Krishna Katha. Shushuno Shraddhanasya Vasudeve Katharuchi Swayan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nivad. So, and 1.2.17, Srila Prabhu correctly recited and quoted, that material enjoyment from the heart is destroyed for one who has developed the urge to hear Krishna Katha. The next verse, 1.2.18, is also there, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Then from Canto 3, chapter 25, verse number 2, says that by hearing Krishna Katha, senses get satisfied. Then in Canto 4, there are Dhruv Maharaj prayers on similar point. Then in Canto 4, the Prachetas prayers, they performed austerity and prayers for 10,000 years. And when Prachetas met the Lord, they did not ask for liberation. Rather, the Prachetas asked to hear Krishna Katha from the devotees. And then Prithu Maharaj again, he says to the Lord, if you want to give me any benedictions, give me millions of years so that I can relish Krishna Katha. So Srila Prabhupada says, the mundane qualities, there's no use, because they all bind one to the bodily concept and to material world. And then Srila Prabhupada concludes that Krishna Katha is the only remedy. Srila Prabhupada says, highest form of himsa, or highest form of violence, is to keep human beings in the darkness in this so-called developed life on the material world. Therefore, devotees have great responsibility to preach. If one is not preaching after knowing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then he is committing violence. Everybody on the same page? Radha Shakti, verse number 14, translation.
Verse number 14, translation. O sage person who, because of their sinful activities, are averse to the topics of transcendence and thus ignorant of the purpose of Mahabharat Bhagavad Gita, are pitied by pitiable. I also pity them because I see how their duration of life is spoiled by eternal time, while they involve themselves in presentations of philosophical speculation, theoretical ultimate goals of life, and different modes of ritual.
Pitiable by the pitiable. So those in the mode of passion, they consider Lord to be their order supplier. And those in the mode of ignorance, they are averse to the existence of the Lord. Those in mode of goodness, they are generally jnanis. They consider Supreme to be some impersonal. And Bhagavad Gita says, not only mode of ignorance and passion are binding, actually, the mode of goodness is also binding by knowledge and happiness. These are for the for binding for jnanis. The jnanis, why do we call them in the mode of goodness? Is because they are elevated, they are devoid of sense gratification desires. Such jnanis may also hear Krishna Katha just to gather some information. And after getting the information, their thought process is that we don't need to hear Krishna Katha anymore. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that for such people, Krishna Katha is the means to get something, and Krishna Katha is not the end. And then above all them are pure devotees. They are at Shuddha Sattva level, pure goodness or transcendence. So this point about pitiable, so impersonalists are pitiable by pure devotees because impersonalists put hard endeavor, but their only gain is pain. And then materialistic people are pitiable for impersonalists because these materialistic people are trying to get happiness through senses, but they are getting entangled in the material world. And what I just described, Prabhupada explains these points in the purport as well. Radha Shakti, if you want to read the purport, verse number 14.
According to the modes of material nature, there are three kinds of relationships between human beings and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are in the mode of ignorance and passion are averse to the existence of God, or else they formally accept the existence of God in the capacity of an order supplier. Above them are those who are in the mode of goodness. This second class of men believe the Supreme Brahman to be impersonal. They accept the cult of bhakti, in which hearing of Krishna Katha is the first item as a means and not the end. Above them are those who are pure devotees. They are situated in the transcendental stage above the mode of material goodness. Such persons are decidedly convinced that the name, form, fame, and qualities, etc., of the personality of Godhead are non different from one another on the absolute plane. For them, hearing of the topics of Krishna is equal to meeting with him face to face. According to this class of men who are situated in the pure devotional service to the Lord, the highest goal of human life is Purushartha, devotional service to the Lord, the real mission of life. The impersonalist, because they engage in mental speculation, have no faith in the personality of Godhead, have no business hearing the topics of Krishna. Such persons are pitiable for the first class pure devotees of the Lord. The pitiable impersonalist pity those who are influenced by the modes of ignorance and passion, but the pure devotees of the Lord take pity on them both, because both waste their most valuable time in the human form of life. in false pursuits, sense enjoyment, and mental speculative presentations of the different theories and goals of life.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? Uncle will read verse number 15, a straightforward verse.
Hare Krishna. O Maitreya, O friend of the distressed, the glories of the Supreme Lord can alone do good for people all over the world. Therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics, the topics of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay, straightforward. That for auspiciousness of the whole world, please describe the essence of all scriptures. Of all topics, Krishna Katha is the essence, just as honey is the essence from flowers. Mother Chandra Aunty, verse number 16 translation.
Text 16, Hare Krishna. Kindly chant all those superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, who accepted incarnation fully equipped with all potency for the full manifestation and maintenance of the cosmic creations. Hare Krishna.
Vidura is expressing his interest in exclusively hearing Krishna Katha. Vidura wanted to hear everything about Krishna. And Maitreya Muni may consider where to start. Thinking this, Vidura is saying or hinting particularly that I want to hear about Purusha avatars first, so that it becomes easier for Maitreya Muni to start reciting the pastimes of the Lord. Questions, comments, realizations? We won't cover any more verses today. The next set of verses is the next topic. We'll continue from our next class. I'll give you 2 homework questions. First is comment on the scarcity in the world. Comes from verse number 5 and 49. Today we only discussed verse number 5, but the same point is discussed further in verse number 49. Second question, examining difference between mundane literature and Krishna Katha. Comes from verses 7 to 16. We have time. Anybody has any questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I just had one realization or comment you can say about that verse which is talking about scarcity, Prabhu. So one is, of course, definitely being averse to, Krishna and Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Other things, people are all into materialism and trying to, all creating all kinds of economic development and advancement in the name of progressing, Prabhu.
Yeah, very good. Correct. Yeah. So this scarcity, we have discussed this in Ishopanishad as well, Shri Ishopanishad, that all material worlds are coming from Krishna and they are full in themselves. But people create these scarcities artificially by hoarding or by destroying the item so that the price increases, so that they can get some profit, but not realizing the profit you are not going to carry to your next life. It's only devotional services is what you'll carry to your next life. Not to mention the trying to profit by incorrect means. You are creating bad karma. Of course, that bad karma comes with you in your next life. So very good realization.
Prabhu, one more realization, Prabhu, when we were reading text 3, oh my Lord, great philanthropical souls travel on the earth on behalf of Supreme Personality. I was thinking about Srila Prabhupada, Prabhu.
Yeah, very good. And all the spiritual masters who travel right now, we did discuss the travel to pilgrimage in our previous chapters also, that the pure devotees travel to various places just to share Krishna Katha with everyone. Okay, very good.
Prabhuji, the verse number 1, Vidura reaches sources of Ganges, Haridwar, where Maitra Muni is in Achyuta Bhava Siddha stage. Would you like to elaborate on that Achyuta Bhava Siddha stage?
Yeah. So Achyuta Bhava Siddha is described in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, means by the perfection by the dint of devotional service. So if you read in the purport for verse number 1, about 4 or 5 lines down, Prabhupada says, this stage of life is called Achyuta Bhava Siddha, or perfection by the dint of devotional service. So Vidura is already perfected by his dint of devotional service. He is already at this Achyuta Bhava Siddha stage. But he is still taking a humble lower position to learn and hear from Maitreya Muni, because Maitreya Muni has learned everything directly from the Lord. Does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.